Hey, what's up, guys? To the ancestors known and unknown, Ashe. To the gods known and unknown, Ashe. All praise, all the glory be to the Most High. You know, as I'm just kind of meditating, just thoughts while I'm working. One of the things that goes through my mind, especially on this rising, is patience. My patience is constantly tested, and some of the things that irritate me and bother me. I question, do I even have a right to feel it? Which it's important to do, to dive deep into our thoughts and emotions, and to question why we have them, what it's triggering, what it's bringing up, what we're supposed to be learning from it, right? And the patience with the people I live with, good people, but torn between, it's just a lot of similarities between, I've lived with a lot of different types of people, a lot of man children, gender neutral, just people that by age should know better but choose not to, because they're just children, responsibility wise, right? 1, 2, 3. There's also cultural differences, which I try to take into play. There's communication barriers. There's a lot of different things. But I have to remind myself, too, is these are kids. These kids are like my son's age, 1, 4, 3, which I love, but we love our children, but they frustrate us, right? I've talked and being led to talk about manifestation. And I talk about it, but I'm going to give you an example from my life. One of the first times that I really noticed and saw one of my biggest manifestations come to fruition. And it stemmed off of, it's the statements we make to the universe. I talk about that. I gave up my apartment. It was my apartment that I allowed my man-child brother to move into, that I allowed, a quote-unquote friend to move into, that took advantage of it. Men children, no responsibility. But I walked away from that place because why the fuck am I gonna keep bending over backwards to keep it afloat when I'm the only one putting in any effort? Nah, fuck that shit. Everyone has their own weight they need to pull, and to constantly be shifting your weight onto someone else and expecting them to pull it. Nah, fuck that shit. Fuck that. I did that for way too long. Nah, I'll pull your weight for a little bit, but at some point you have to pull your own fucking weight. 3 o'clock. But I gave the place up, walked away from it, no problem. I was living in my truck, working, summertime, hot as balls. I was in an unregistered, uninspected vehicle. Could have been gone at any time. But it was in there. It was while I was doing that and I was working. I'm going to these job sites, and I went to this one job site where it was this couple. Well, the parents had this one apartment. They were a house. They were grandparents at this time, and their children with their grandchildren lived in a house right across the lot, right back to back to it. So their backyards joined. And we're gonna get things into our experience, to put the thoughts, to put the ideas into our mind, so that we can start manifesting it. It's like our higher self. It's the universe giving us glimpses of things that we're supposed to be focusing on to manifest, because it's where we're supposed to be being led to, right? Those are the signs of synchronicities we need to be looking for. 4 o'clock. They're divine. It's divine inspiration to start manifesting, right? But then you have to hold it. So it starts. So I already had the thoughts about, man, that would be cool. You know what I mean? Because at that time I was trying to repair my relationship, my non-existent relationship with my parents. They were there, but we were never close, right? And I was trying to bridge that gap. I felt led to bridge the gap, to at least attempt to. But I went from going to that job site and to what's sitting on it, and it just sat with me, and the thoughts kept coming into my mind about it. And so then I just threw it out there in conversation, threw it out there to them, just about the house, not that, just the concept of, hey, this is what I came into. It's pretty cool how they had it set up and this and that, right? Talking about it verbally. But then, my parents had been looking for a house for a while because they downsized, they sold the house, moved into an apartment, and now they were looking for a place. But it was bidding wars everywhere. 55. It was bidding wars everywhere. Everywhere was paying way too much over the asking price, right? And then they finally got an option to buy this lot of land, which they really wanted just a lot so they could build on. But to get the opportunity to buy the lot, they had to purchase this house. And they did. And then that's the house I ended up moving into, and we were going to try to work things out. I was in there for months by myself. And then I tried bringing some people in there. I'm not going to dive too much in that situation, but it served its purpose. The place served its purpose. I manifested that place. It was my temple, and that place gave me the chance to find my temple, my true temple. I've always known my home always resides inside of me, so it doesn't matter homeless wherever I am. My home is always with me, but I never looked at my home as a temple. I never treated my home like a temple. Never treated it like a temple. And then when I started to treat it like a temple, man. But it started with cleaning up things in your life that no longer serve you, things in your life that are holding you back, people, places, things. And I just straight up walked away from them multiple times. But I've never had a problem walking away from people or places, really, because I don't know, just energetically I've always kind of understood that it's being taken away for a reason and not to fight it, just to release it, right? And if it's meant to be, it's going to come back. I've always kind of just held that knowing, I guess. I have no other way to explain it. It was just a knowing I've just had. But when I had my awakening, it was right after I released the energetic attachments I had to possessions, because I've had a lot of different places, and I always, had storage units that I would keep stuff into, stuff I had for years and years and years, some of it decades, but they still had the tag on it. Some of it never even worn, never even used, some of it barely ever worn or used, but I just held on to, and I had to release. I kind of put the stuff on a pedestal and in a place that it shouldn't have been. And so that was part of my final release, is I had to release those bonds. But that was the time, around that whole time, it's, I was able to see my manifestations. And then, when my blessings are coming and things are just aligning, and it's the guided actions that I was being led to take. I was being led to leave one job to make more time for me to work on my studies and stuff. And so I did. And then I spent a lot more time studying, spent a lot more time working on myself, spent a lot more time doing the things that I was been feeling led to do. And, but then I started seeing, the signs and synchronicities of manifestations coming in. I started, noticing, like, it's those actions, the divinely led actions. Some of them, like I put in my 2 weeks to a job, and I just felt it weighing on me heavy, do it, just do it. And then I finally do it, and then, hours later, getting phone calls about certain things, getting emails about certain things that kind of like give me a glimpse of where I'm being guided to go, right? And I speak about meditation, and I was still new to that shit, you know what I mean? It's just, let me just trying. And then came out of meditation one time, like 3-4 in the morning or whatever, and I opened up Facebook, and the first thing that popped up was an ad for a TED Talk, right? And I submitted an idea for a TED Talk and went through this whole process after the lecture, and then I submitted something, and then I got selected to have an interview with them. And then I had the interview with them, and the irony, the lady even asked, if I've ever done any public speaking. And it's like, well, I mean, I was class treasurer my junior year, and I got that by I wrote a whole speech about how my main opponent ran over squirrels for fun, and I won. But no, public speaking was never really, because I don't know, I never had a message that I felt deeply enough that needed to be spread, I guess. I don't like to talk just to talk, and a lot of the things that I care about, that I try to talk to people about, they don't care about it, and it makes me not want to talk, though. because a lot of things that most people care about are, in the big scheme of things, absolutely, they mean nothing. They don't matter. But we put a lot of time and effort and focus on things that don't fucking matter. But after that, they wanted 10 grand to come up. They wanted me to come up with 10 grand to start my TED Talk journey, right? And I didn't have it. And then, but they offered me, the Diamond in the Rough program, which was, they saw a lot of potential in me, and I only had to come up with 10% of it, 1,500. But I still struggled to do that, and I asked a couple people for help, and I didn't get it. Whether they had it, didn't have it, didn't believe in me, it's neither here nor there. But it's planting the seed, and I was kept in contact with this woman for a while, but I was still going through, I didn't tell her everything I was going through. I didn't tell her the situation I was going through. A couple times when I reached back out to her, I've been living in my truck for months out because I felt guided to leave, and no idea where I was going or what exactly I was doing, other than I just was where I was supposed to be. And recently, it's the irony of, I had to humble myself kind of to take these jobs, because I don't feel like I'm where I am. Where I'm not happy with a lot of things in my situation, but I'm grateful for them. I'm making $3 less than I've ever made in the last decade, but yet I'm thankful. But the irony too is, I'm paying way too much money to live with too many people, yet I'm still saving money and putting into myself and putting into this, and for that I give thanks. As I'm saving up money, the thought I had the other day was like, should this phone's, who knows how much longer it's going to last. I should probably buy a new phone. But then the thought comes to my mind, I could pay for that. That would expedite things. For me, yeah. But, the point I'm at too is, I see public speaking on those sort of stages that's my destiny. That's where I'm going to be one way or another. And I could expedite it by coming out of my pocket and paying for it. But I'm also kind of like, that's my spot. I'm going to get there one way or another, with people's help or without their help. And I'm going to get there, and I'm going to be paid to be there. I'm not going to have to come out of my pocket to do it, because I know the importance of my messages, and I know the effect that they have. And it's just a matter of time until it's seen that way. And so, it's a glimpse, of where I'm going to be, but I'm not there yet. And, I'm just enjoying the journey, taking it. But also part of it too is, if I had taken it at the time, I would have taken it. If I would have gotten the help right then, the message would not be the proper message. It wouldn't be the message that my message now is so much more greater. But duty calls. There's a clogged toilet. Duty calls. But yeah, guard your thoughts and pay attention to the signs and synchronicities of things coming into your existence. It's for a reason. Either to give you thoughts of things you need to start thinking about, or just to plant the seed for you to start thinking about, because it's giving you a glimpse, but you need to be aware of what's coming into your existence and why. There's no coincidence in things happening. There's always a reason. So seek the reason.